Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Songs of Faith Sunday. My name is Chris Wilson. So happy you decided to join us this evening, despite the fact that there is probably a fairly important football game on right at this very moment. With me, as always, is my absolutely lovely wife, Carrie.
Hello.
And, yeah, been an interesting week for us Wilsons, I'll tell you that. I'm just going to sing a song to get started here, just because I need to get centered. I need to take a minute to remember what it's all about. When peace like a river attendeth my way, when sorrows like sea billows roll, whatever my lot, thou hast taught me to say, it is well with my soul. It is well with my soul. It is well with my soul. Though Satan should buffet, though trials shall come, let this blessed assurance control, that Christ has regarded my helpless estate, and hath shed his own blood for my soul. It is well with my soul. It is well with my soul. My sin, oh, the bliss of this glorious thought. My sin, not in part, but the whole, is nailed to the cross. I will bear it no more. Praise the Lord. Praise the Lord, oh my soul. It is well with my soul. It is well with my soul. O Lord, haste the day when my faith shall be sight, the clouds be rolled back as the scroll, the trump shall resound, and the Lord shall descend. Even so it is well with my soul. It is well with my soul. It is well with my soul. I think that was for someone. I don't know. I as I was singing that, I felt like sort of moved that was for someone other than me. That's one of those tunes that we all need once in a while.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I'd like to apologize for those of you who are watching the show on Thursday. I was not well on Thursday night. I got a terrible migraine headache right before the show, and I tried my best to do it, and it was sort of a mess. It wasn't my best performance, so I wanted to apologize to you all for not giving you my best. That's always something that sort of sticks with me and gives me troubles. So, but yeah, I had a terrible migraine headache, and it was just throbbing. And it's all I could think of, and I was trying to like find a different path, and I sort of struggled. So that's why I was a little out of sorts on Thursday. And I'm also a little under the weather today. I don't know if, I'm not really sure what that's all about, but not feeling the best today either. But, it's important that we get to have our little meetup here because I need it, and maybe some people out there need it too, just to have their moment to sort of, recenter and relax. Plus, I had made all these promises about telling you guys what was going on with us.
It's true.
And I can't see the comments, but I'm assuming people are...
Yeah. They've remembered that you've made those promises.
Yeah. Well, that was one of the other reasons why we didn't... We had thought about canceling tonight's show because there is a playoff game on, and I know it's people are torn, and it's tough. But one of the reasons we decided to do it, despite the playoff game and despite the way that I'm currently feeling, is that we're so excited to share with you what's been going on. So it's going to be, I'm going to tell you the story, not completely from the beginning, because I'd have to go back to birth and
yeah, pretty much
to see where this particular thing started. But I am going to go back to 2018. So all right, I'm going to tell you the story. Carrie's going to join in with me here to tell you.
I'll try to keep him on
keep me focused
on the right path.
Yes. So, in 2018, I was outside gardening, and which is weird because I don't do that.
That's true.
So that is an interesting. That alone is an interesting place to start. So I was just covered in dirt and sweat and whatever, and a friend of mine calls me up and asks me to come over to an estate sale that they were having down the road from the barn here. So I say, sure, whatever. So I go over there with him, and it's whatever, and this really nice house, and my friend says to me, he goes, and I'm going to sort of abridge this a little bit. We're going to do a full testimony which sort of explains all the details of this stuff because there's some crazy God stuff in here. But the abridged version is that, he says to me, he goes, you and Carrie should buy this house. And I was like, haha, sure, okay. We have about $100 in the bank, so yes, we'll just buy a house. And he was sort of looking at me kind of seriously, and he said, yeah, but what if you could buy this house? And at the time, we were trying to find a way so that maybe we could move in with my parents who were having some health struggles, and so I just, I said, well, yeah, I suppose if there was some miracle, I literally thought that, then sure, I guess we would probably buy this house. And he said, get in the car. So then out of just sheer morbid curiosity, I was like, all right, I got to see where this is going to go. So he gets out of the car. Or we get in the car and we pull into the driveway right next door. And he looks at me and he says, just keep your mouth shut. So now I was really curious and decided to just follow this wherever it went because I had nothing better to do really. I mean, I guess the gardening, but so we pull into this driveway next door to this house that was having the estate sale, and a gentleman, a very old gentleman, comes out in his mid-90s, and he says, and my friend says to him, "Hey, can we come up for a glass of lemonade?" And this guy says, "Sure, yeah, come on up." His old voice, ancient man, and. So we go sit on the porch, him and his wife, we have a glass of lemonade. And so we're sitting there for about 20 minutes, a half hour, whatever, I'm not exactly sure. This old man telling me the most amazing story, some of the most amazing God-centered stories I had ever heard. You remember?
Yep.
These stories are just nuts. Maybe someday I'll share those. So he's telling me these stories. And at some point, my friend looks over at this man and says, "The kids here," meaning me and my wife, "want to buy the house next door." And I look at him like, "What are you doing?" Like, and so but again, I was a man of my word. He said, "Keep my mouth shut." So I did. And this old gentleman looked at me. And he said, he glances over at me. He looks me up and down. And he goes, "You good for it?" And I don't even know what I was thinking at this point. I think I was in some kind of daze. And I shook my head and I went, "Yeah." And he said, "Okay, I'll call the lawyer and have him draw up the papers." And I said, "What? I'm sorry. I don't know what just happened here." And he said, "I'll carry the note for you." And I was like, I didn't even know what to make of any of that. Like, I was crazy. Yeah. Literally, I mean, within an hour previous to this, I was just gardening here at the barn. Carrie didn't even know I was gone, I don't think.
No, I didn't.
So you guys are all wondering where this is going. It's great. So that's how we came to buy our house down the road in 2018. This guy, and I remember just the day that we were signing the mortgage. I asked him. I said, "Why did you do this for us?" Because to rewind for a second, when he did that, he didn't know anything about me.
No, he didn't even know your last name.
He didn't even know my last name.
Yeah.
And he agreed to carry the mortgage on that house. And I was stunned. And he said a couple of things to me. He said, "I've always walked," this was his phrase. He said, I've always walked with the Lord. And he said, "You guys just looked like you just looked like the kind of neighbor I wanted to have." Which to this day is probably the best compliment I've ever had in my life. And so he does. So we were able to sort of buy this house. So we buy this house in 2018, right? And it's a struggle. But where we have this house, this would have never been able to do this. And we thought, okay, so we'll work at the barn. We'll turn the barn. What we've always wanted to do was turn the barn into a production studio all the way around. And we have our house to live in, and then we can move my parents in, and then we can take care of them, and it's a sort of a perfect situation. But for one reason or another, moving in with my parents didn't end up working out for reasons that had nothing to do with anything, with lots of reasons, but it just didn't work out. And so there we were. So over the 3 years, I kept saying, money would get a little tight, and I'd say, yeah, I think we got to sell the house. But what we would always made what we always made a point of doing was praying on that. Any decision we had to make, we always had to pray on it first.
Yeah.
Because God had absolutely put together us getting that house. And we couldn't really figure out why. Why would he want us to have that house? Maybe it was just to be nice to us. I don't know. But it never really felt like home. And so from time to time, I kept renovating, thinking that was going to be good. And, we kept trying different things, and it just never felt like home. And I could never figure it out. Wonderful house, beautiful property, 10 acres. It should have been like the dream come true for us. But for some reason, we were unsettled about it. So again, we pray. Can we sell the house? Nothing. And, and with the buying of the house, there was this sort of grand gesture on the part of God,
Yeah.
And there was nothing. It was just sort of silence. And Carrie and I would say from time to time, listen, the last thing God told us to do was to buy that house. And he has not yet told us to sell it. So we're going to keep it until he tells us we can sell it. And he's going to have to make that clear to us somehow. Okay. So I'm trying to figure out what I should tell next here. Because, I know where I'm going to go. So we, when was it? How many months was it?
Why?
How many months ago when we decided to sell the house?
So it was, I want to say it was August.
So in August of this year.
Like beginning of August, maybe end of July, somewhere in there.
We kept trying to settle in still, and it just wasn't working for us there. And we didn't, I just couldn't figure it out. And through prayer and a couple of very, very powerful signs, which we're going to sort of keep personal to us for now, because they were, it's just very
dramatic,
very dramatic, very personal stuff. It became clear that it was now time, and we were going to be able to sell the house. So
this was right around right around August, September, in there, right?
Yes.
Yes.
So we decided to we were having our fundraiser to try to get the siding done for the barn. And we thought, okay, you know what? We're just going to go all in. We're going to move back into the barn. We're going to sell the house however long it takes. We'll put whatever dollars we can have from the sale of that house into the finishing of the barn. Okay, great. So inexplicably and miraculously, right when we decided to sell the house, a situation came to us where somebody wanted to come look at the house. I told them what we wanted for the house. They said yes. Just like that. Just couldn't believe it. We could not believe it. And we're like...
Yeah, we didn't even get it on the market, nothing.
We never put it on the market. We never did anything.
Made the decision.
No real estate agent, nothing. They just said yes. And we just knew, okay, God's doing a thing here again. We got to go with it. And it's obviously time. So we put the house on the market. We're sitting over here at the barn one day. Or no, saying we didn't put the house on the market, but we've essentially sold the house in principle.
Yeah.
Agreement. I hope you guys are following us still. I know this is sort of a long, meandering story, but there is a payoff, I promise. So there we are. We come back over to the barn, the one day, and we're just sitting here. Actually, I'm sitting here in my undies, as a matter of fact, sitting at my computer. I don't know why I always feel the need to add that detail, but it was just accurate. And all of a sudden, there's a pounding on my door. It's a very powerful knock on the door here at the barn. Meanwhile, Carrie and I had been just sort of thinking about how we could figure out how to sort of manage the money we were going to get from the sale of that house to sort of finish up what was going to be necessary around here so that we could really bring this to its full potential. Within that same week, knock on the door. Boom, boom, boom. I open it up, and it's my neighbor. And And she says to me, she's very serious. And she comes in, and I invite her to sit down. And she says, I'm leaving, and I want to sell you guys my house. Now, the house I'm talking about is the big Victorian house on the corner here, right next to the barn, which was the house. This house was an original estate. This was the barn was once a hay barn for this estate. This was the John Reed Farm. The road is named after him. He was the first town supervisor of the town of Sweden. And so this was all one property at one time in the 1800s. I had told her 5 years ago, if you're ever selling your house, and I said it sort of, I just said it. I said, if you're ever selling your house, give us the first opportunity. I mean, I don't know what I was thinking, but I just said that would be. And we had dreamed about this for almost since the day we pulled into the barn. I can still remember the first day we pulled into the barn, and we looked at the space, looked at the barn. And I think within that same day, we sort of glanced over at the house on the corner and said, man, wouldn't it be great if we could put this place back together someday? And so here we were, just sitting there going, okay, what do we do now? She wants to offer us this place. We can't, and it just happened that we just made the sale of the house.
Yeah.
She wanted significantly more for that house than what we sold our place for. And I just prayed on it, and I said to Carrie, I said, I mean, is it possible that we could actually do this? Because we've always wanted to incorporate that space into an overall picture of what we want to do here.
Yeah.
Am I leaving anything out?
I don't think so.
Okay. I said, sweetie, if we do this, we're going to go right back into having nothing again. And I said, the only thing I can do is offer her exactly what we got for that house.
Yeah. That's all we had.
That's all we had. And it would be everything. It would be the tippy top of everything we have to do that. Mm-hmm. And but I prayed on it, and I was I felt like God, he confirmed that number in a couple of different ways. Mm-hmm. I presented it to her. She said, I have to think about it. She came back the next day, and she said, okay. She accepted the number.
Yeah.
And we couldn't believe it. We just sat there in stunned silence that God had sort of fulfilled. And one other thing I have to mention is right around the time we bought that house in 2018, the other house, I was in the shower and I was praying. And for some reason, that house popped into my head. And I said, God, are we ever going to put this property back together? Could that actually ever happen? And I heard him say, he answered me. He said, yes, but not now. And this was in 2018, right when we, just around the time when we ended up getting the other house. And I know that this is true because I walked out of the shower and I said, sweetie, I just was praying in the shower. I told her the entire thing of what had just happened. Mm-hmm. And I said, so that's so strange. But I put it out of my head because when the other deal came along, I just said, okay, well, maybe that's where God wants us to go at. Maybe he doesn't. But over and over again, over the past 9 years since we've owned this, he's given us visions of what this whole space could and would ultimately be.
Yeah.
And when he I couldn't believe it. The chances that she would come knocking and want to sell that house at the one moment when we could maybe make that happen. I mean, we're talking about threading a needle here.
Yep.
And so we did it. And so as of last Thursday at 1:00, we own the house on the corner.
Yep.
And we put this farm back together. I don't even know what to say about it. But God, he told us, and he said, and I just want you guys to know, and the reason we're sharing with this with you on Songs of Faith night specifically is because although we had always dreamed about making some kind of sort of campus or basically, something for God with these two properties, when it came time to do it, our earthly self said, no, but we finally, maybe we could
I know.
we could finally have some little financial security or something. Maybe we could finally, go on a vacation. We've never gone on a vacation, ever.
That's true.
Or something. And we thought, we might finally have a little extra money. And God, in no uncertain terms, said he wanted that space. And it was all going to be it's for him. It is for him. He has a purpose for it. And it was our job to make it happen. And so we did. And so now, here we are. So this whole corner is now...
it's the Wilson corner.
It's the Wilson corner. And we wanted to just show you a couple of things. So if you've come to a show at the barn, you know this place. She was running it as a bed and breakfast for a while. This house was built in 1849, the same time when the barn was built. And when we took possession of it on Thursday, we got to see a couple of really, really cool things. Just first, let's show the picture of just what the place looks like now.
I did already, but I will again.
You did?
Yeah.
I don't see it.
I did before when you were talking about what house it was.
Oh.
But I'll do it again.
So there it is. It's this beautiful... It was known as the Gingerbread Manor. And it's this marvelous sort of place. And so what other pictures have you shown already?
None. Just that one. When you were kind of talking
Okay.
about it and describing what house you were talking about, I put the picture up.
So this is it on the corner. And so this barn, our barn here, was the hay barn in 1849 for this property. But when we got over there and we took possession on Thursday, we saw she had left some photographs for us, which are so spectacular and exciting. Can we show the original?
This is, so I didn't put all of them in here. So this is the original one, though. This is the coolest one.
So that is the house in 1849. I wish we could zoom in.
I know.
And
You know what? I can
can you
that
make
bigger.
it like
Yep.
the full screen?
Yep, I can make that bigger. Let me do that.
So this is the house in 1849. Unbelievable.
Yeah, what a cool thing to have this picture.
And it just as you know, I'm a history buff, and so the idea that we would be stewards of something, because we were with the barn, and we took that job very seriously, and to be stewards of this property now, in its long line of stewardship, what a crazy thing.
Yeah.
And do we have the one there from the 40s? Did I give you that one too?
No, I should.
didn't.
Well, I mean, we have it, but maybe I will show it another day. I didn't have that one loaded up.
Do you have the other one, the real, the nice photograph? That one from...
No.
You don't have that one either?
I'm sorry. I put in this one. I put in the new
Oh,
one,
okay.
and then you were going to tease it. You want me to show him that picture? He was gonna tease you more.
Yeah, this is going to be
And
my
just-
tease if we weren't able to tell the full story
Before
tonight.
we told you, just give you a little clue.
So that's looking out the kitchen window from the house, and you can see the barn there.
Yeah.
So what else?
Go ahead. What were you gonna say?
Well, I was going to say there's so much more to this, and we're going to be doing a whole video testimony that tells this entire story, because his thumbprint is on every page of this story, and not in a small way,
Yeah.
And I don't even know what to say about it, other than this was... I don't know what to say about it. I could try, but I cannot really wrap my head around it fully at this point. a couple of interesting little anecdotes, and they're not really anecdotes, they're much more special than that, but in terms of the story, is that when she came over, do you want to tell this about
Yeah, actually, why don't you do a song, and then we'll tell that one. That's my favorite. So.
Okay. Which one should I play here?
How about Stained Glass? Unless you had something in mind.
No, that's a really good one to do here. When my life it's blown apart, and I'm picking up the pieces of another broken heart. They get put back all out of joint. They don't fit the same. Well, that's the point. 'Cause if you stand too close or you look too fast, you'll only see the pieces of the dreams you've had dashed. So take one step back and let the sun shine past. You won't see shards, you'll see stained glass. There may be times when it may seem like a shame to cry, like a waste to bleed over a dream. But the tears you've spilled and the blood you've shed will light the world in blue and red. If you stand too close or you look too fast, you'll only see the pieces of the dreams you've had dashed. So take one step back, let the sun shine past. You won't see shards, you'll see stained glass. Stand too close or you look too fast, you'll only see the pieces of the dreams you've had dashed. So take one step back, let the sun shine past. You won't see shards, you'll see stained glass. And when your life on earth has passed, you won't leave shards, you'll leave stained glass. All right. So why don't you tell your your story.
Okay. Okay. So yeah. So we had this house. 2018. We get this house, 10 acres, and as most of you know, the girls and the chickens and Gracie's always wanted to have a farm, all that good stuff, and it was infectious, I would say. And I kind of was like, yeah, I can get into that. Never really worked out with our 10 acres, which seemed like that's what we should do, but we don't know how, and there was no time. But last spring, I just got it into my head and into my heart that I wanted sheep on that. We wanted sheep.
And she was crazy. She was crazy about the sheep to the point where we actually went to a sheep farm
Yep.
and put a deposit on 2 sheep. Or
Actually,
several sheep.
No, yeah, six sheep.
6 sheep.
In
Right,
fact.
It was 6 sheep, wasn't it?
Well, because you
Started out
were
as-
there,
yeah.
and I'm very like, okay, a couple sheep, but you always like to do more.
Well,
so
I figure if you're going to do
if you're going to
it,
do it, then really do it. So
then
anyway, so we did that. We put the deposit down, and they were little. They were babies. They were not ready to come home with us. So we had to wait a good, I don't know, I think it was like 8 weeks still until they would be ready. So during that 8 weeks, we weren't really ready for them. We needed to build some kind of, fencing, and we did have the land for it, but they needed a shelter. And there was just never any time to do this. It was never the right circumstances to get out there and to do it, and it just kind of kept not happening. And there was this sort of growing sense that, is this the right? I don't know. I want it so bad, and it felt so right, and it was just there. I couldn't shake it, but it also kind of felt not right, and that kind of grew as the time came for us to get the sheep. I could just tell it wasn't right, and I knew that Chris knew it wasn't right. But he loves me, and he knew how much I wanted them, so he wasn't gonna say anything. So finally one day I said, in tears, I might add, I don't think we can do the sheep. It's just not right. And he kind of was like, yeah, that's true. That's true. And it was such a confusing moment for me, because I felt so strongly that this was something that I wanted or that we should do, and yet it wasn't right. And I couldn't figure out what God was doing. I'm like, am I just going nuts? Am I just looking for I don't know. But yeah, so I said that. We decided, okay, no sheep. And maybe a couple days later is when I said, maybe we should revisit selling the house. So this is a very difficult week for me, because I was always sort of like championing the house, because I just loved the land. It was just, and I kind of had these visions of livestock, and it just never worked out.
I kept trying to renovate.
Yeah.
I just kept everything I could do to sort of make myself and my spirit and just feel at ease there, like this is where we were supposed to be, and it just was not where we were supposed to be.
It's a confusing time. It was where we were supposed to be, and yet it wasn't home, and it wasn't. And so so then anyway, the events that Chris just told you about happened. We made the decision. We prayed about it. God answered that prayer in dramatic fashion, and we said, okay, it's time to sell. Very quickly, all of that happened, and then neighbor comes over. Anyway, so we put in that offer, the one that was lower than what she was asking. And when she came over to accept it, she accepted it on one condition. It was, starting that day, we would take ownership of her sheep.
Oh, I could cry just hearing you say it.
She has 2 sheep, and there's one of them. I just put it on there, Maisie and Faye. And from that moment on, we had our sheep, and we've been taking care of them since then. And it was just
There was no denying that God had authored this.
yeah.
No denying it.
Yeah, I mean, it was everything that I had wanted and that I had felt for the other property that wasn't working. There was something wrong, and I think that he was showing me glimpses of what was going to be. I just had to, again, stand still and just, wait for the right time, and he did it, and it was perfect. And so it just, for me, that was just such a beautiful and poetic moment. and his fingerprint was just, it was just right there. And it's just beautiful. Yeah.
So it was funny because so some people, there's some, I mean, we'll be telling you about this in the weeks to come. This was also made possible by some tremendous friendships, and
Yep.
there's a lot of stuff here to unpack. But you might be thinking, so what are they going to do with this place? Like what? Because we fully intend to just stay living here upstairs at the barn. It's appropriate for us at this time.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like I think that this was the right place to move to. I don't think we're supposed to move in over there.
So there was a couple of things that had happened. One, it had appeared that God had sort of told us over and over again over the last 9 years that we were eventually going to own that place, never knowing what we would actually do with it. And, and I was always sort of reluctant. I have all kinds of dreams all the time. We would talk about it all the time, even though we had no reason to do, like no good reason to think we could ever own that place. Again, apart from the fact that God had sort of said that was to be. And so we would dream about it from time to time, but when it came, time to actually pull the trigger and do it, we thought, well, if because for years, like we've been trying to put in a proper parking lot here, and we can never get one that's the right size, and there's no way to configure the place to do it, and we wanted to have outdoor events, and we wanted to just expand and do all kinds of things that we just sort of were prevented from doing just by the nature of how this property. And we would always look over there and say, well, geez, if we had a little bit of that land or something, we could probably do this thing, or we could do that, and.
Yeah.
So then all of that became a possibility. But then it was like, we thought to ourselves, well, we don't really have, like, we have to sort of snap it up, even though we didn't necessarily know what it was supposed to be. And we thought, well, we're going to give that, just like we've given everything else, we're going to give that to God. We're going to give him the building. This is your building. Tell us what to do with it.
Yeah. Yeah, because obviously, we have prayed about this, and it was an answer to prayer, but I don't think this is just him saying, I want to give Chris and Carrie something fun to play with. There's more to it than this. God has plans for this place and for this property, and we are stewards of that right now. But this is about all of you, and this is about the community, and it's about God's kingdom, and that's what it's about. It's not just another playhouse for Chris and Carrie.
No.
We know that much. I mean, we'll have fun, but it will be a lot of hard work, and we know that, and we're excited to see what he's got planned.
Yeah, and we've got some. So as it came clear, because even just leading up to the day we were going to buy it, and people would, a couple of the people that we had told, because we kept it pretty close to the vest generally, because we've had weird, our story is always kind of weird, and I never know how people are going to take it when they see the things that we do. But I told a couple of people, and everybody's question is always, well, what are you going to do with it? And I'd be like, well, the truth is I don't want to get ahead of God here.
Yeah.
And for some reason I kept feeling like it wasn't going to happen, or something was, I didn't know if it was going to happen. And it was funny because right when it became ours, we signed the papers, all of a sudden, all of these dreams and all of these things that I had thought about, they just released. And instead of them feeling like the silly dreams of a little boy, they felt like sort of real things. And we came up with what I think is a really, really wonderful idea, at least to get started with. Mm-hmm. Should I talk about that, or
sure? I mean, understand that these are just in the idea phase right now, but yeah, why not?
Well, we want to start having package events here. So she was running this as a bed and breakfast, so that there's 4 bed and breakfast rooms in the upstairs of this place. But this is an old Victorian. It's quite something. It's like it's like going to Genesee Country Museum going into this house, Yeah. And we need to give it some love to sort of make it how to really bring out some of its amazingness. But one of the visions I had was just having a package thing, so where you would come and you would have a catered dinner over at the house, and then you could walk over to the barn for dinner and a show. And we would come up with a season just like any other theatrical season like Jiva Theater or something, where we would have a season, we would put out what all the shows are, the package price, here's the meal, and we would have that catered, so we wouldn't be doing the actual cooking ourselves or anything like that at this point. But did we lose our camera? Oh, okay. Should be talking to the other camera then until you're back. So that's one of our plans. So what we're going to do is, starting at Mother's Day, that's our plan. That's what we're shooting for, to do whatever work needs to be done in there to get ready for this. We are going to start putting these packaged things together. And the idea here is, when you come on this property, wherever you stand, I want you to, our goal was to say, we want you to see God. We want you to feel Jesus from every angle. And that is our goal. That is our goal. And we, after 2 years of whatever this has been with COVID and whatever, and I don't even know where it's going, but I know that we need to be together as a community. We need to celebrate each other, and we need to celebrate God. And this is where I am putting every single thing I have. We are putting everything we have into making that what this is. This little, campus. I don't know what we're going to call it, but
the Wilson Homestead.
We are going to call it. We do know, since this is the barn, that's the house. So we're going to call it the barn and the house. And then there's another barn, and that's the stable.
Yeah.
For the sheep.
And among other animals, I have my space. Now we can.
So this is still very much a work in progress, but this is about, we want everybody to sort of, because again, we were still let's finish the barn mode, because there's still things that need to happen here. But we had one opportunity to do this if we were to thread the needle, and it just seemed like what we had to do in the moment. I have to say, just, a very, very big thank you to my dear friend Jack Donahue, for he's one of our advisory board members here for One Hallelujah, and he is a trusted friend and advisor, and he was very much a part of helping us put this together and figure this out, and will be forever in his debt.
Yeah. I feel like we need a like a picture or like a logo for him, because when you talk about him,
I know.
guitars and
I know. This is one of Jack's guitars. No, there's certain people that you just meet up with in your life, and you just feel so blessed that they entered your circle, and that's how we feel about Jack and Maureen, and we just and and just so many of the other people, that that have sort of helped us keep going here, because this is, in many ways, to look at this from the outside, this is a terrible time to buy another piece of real estate. There's, and we don't have any money, we don't have any but we just know that it is. We just know, and sometimes you just got to do that, because the truth is, we didn't have a dime to our name when we pulled in the. I shouldn't say we didn't have a dime to our name, but we didn't have any money in the bank.
Yeah.
No. When we pulled in the driveway here at the barn, and there was the vision. It was right there. Boom. You have to do this. Yeah. And
we same is true for the other house, and without that other house, without him giving us that other house, we wouldn't have been able to buy the one next door. Wouldn't have happened.
That's just
I have no doubt
true.
that was the stepping stone.
So I wanted to show you this when we walked over there the other day, and this was our first time in the house. The girls, this is a big Victorian house. It's over 4,000 square feet. And they just ran around, and they were upstairs, and we were downstairs, and it was the sound of glee. Yeah. It was just pure glee and joy, just listening to them explore, oh, great, come here.
Yeah. It's old, so it's got just some fun, nooks and crannies.
It's just really special. It's a very, very special place. And So we're standing up at the top of the stairs, and all of a sudden, then they're down. Then we go upstairs, and they go back downstairs, and all of a sudden, I just hear at just their two-part harmony. They just stop playing, and all of a sudden, they're just singing in two-part harmony, and it just drifts up the stairs. And Carrie and I just look at each other with tears in our eyes, like, "Can you even believe this? Like, how blessed do we get to be in this life?" But of course, me being the person that I am, I'm like, I got to run downstairs and put in my part. So we went down and we just stood in what is, I guess, the living room of this place, and we just dedicated it to God. We dedicated it to Him, and Carrie pulled out the camera and just took this little video. So I wanted to share this with you. These are our first moments, sort of praising God in this house.
So I'll cherish the old rugged cross till my trophies at last I lay down. I will cling to the old rugged cross and exchange it someday for a crown.
So fun. Just so fun. You know, you could be scared about these things, you know, and you can walk in fear because there's a lot of earthly reasons that would say, you know, hey, you guys are doing some crazy stuff again. Like, what's the matter with you guys? But when the Lord sort of reveals to you that you're supposed to do something, you do it. The only things that I've ever regretted in my life were when He told me to do something I didn't do. That's it.
Yep.
And and when I did do a thing that He wanted me to do, He never abandoned me. Never. Never, never. And so I just thought, you know, wow, so if we've got this little corner of real estate where when you drive on this real estate, this is, you know, you come to this little corner, and it's funny that it's a corner. There's this little corner, and you are going to be loved, you know, and you're going to be, and this is where we will celebrate God and we will celebrate each other. Because honestly, and I can say this with absolute certainty and with absolute truth, this acquisition, whatever this is about Him and it's about you. And I've always just known that it was my job to put together and tell the stories. That's my job. And to sing my songs. Sing my songs and tell the stories. And try to just till the soil so that God can plant something. And so that is fully our attention with this. So if any of this sort of speaks to your heart, just contact us. Say, you know, as you were saying that, this meant something to me in this way, or it meant something, or I see something in this. Because truly, that's the only way any of this matters. You know, I'm not a real estate mogul. I have no intention of just like acquiring things, and it's not about anything. You know, we're going to try to figure out a way to make it cost effective so that we can sort of continue it and operate it. And that's obviously going to, you know, we're going to rely on you, the fans, and the people who have watched and want to be part of what we do to sort of, you know, to take this wherever it's going to go. But, you know, we're all in. We're all in to create something here.
Yep.
And we can create something magnificent. I mean, that house, just as a builder and as somebody who does woodwork and appreciates fine architecture, this place is just cool. Genesee Country Museum is like my favorite place to go and wander around.
Yeah.
And Carrie and the kids, they just make fun of me because I'm just like in heaven when I'm there looking at all the stuff. And walking in there, it's just like that, you know.
Yeah.
It's 170 years old.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yep.
So, all right, there's most of the story there. I'm sorry I did so much talking, but I wanted you guys to know, you guys mean so much to us. Anybody who's watching right now, you know, You are our heart, you know, and we couldn't do any of these things without you. So
Yeah, and we're going to be giving lots and lots of updates as we sort of,
yeah,
kind
we're
of.
going to video document the whole journey with that building.
Yes.
Because it's just about lifting it up. It's about creating and illustrating testimony,
Yeah.
you know, because there's so much. There's so much. I can't even begin to scratch the surface. So, you know.
Yeah.
So please lift up the Wilson family in your prayers as we embark upon this, and help us just always have the clarity that can only come through a relationship with Jesus. So, all right. Let me finish up with. Got to finish up with this one. It's only appropriate tonight. The Father has a plan, though it's hard to see it now. You feel you're walking all alone, but He's there, no doubt. And when the storm around you rages, and you're tossed to and fro, when you're faced with life's decisions, you're not sure which way to go, stand still and let God move. Standing still is hard to do. When you feel you have reached the end, He'll make a way for you. Stand still and let God move. When the enemy surrounds you and the walls are closing in, when the tide is swiftly rising and you wonder where He's been, friend, there never was a moment His arms weren't reaching out. You can rest assured and be secure, God's moving right now. So stand still and let God move. Standing still is hard to do. When you feel you have reached the end, He'll make a way for you. Stand still and let God move. Stand still and let God move. Just stand still and let God move. Well, that was perfect timing. Right down to the minute. I just want to wish everybody God's blessings. Thank you so much for being on this journey with us. You've been with us since the beginning, and if this is something, if anything that I've said today, if that speaks to you, if something about this story and about, because, God hasn't filled in all the details here for us yet. So if anything about this speaks to you, please get in touch with us. If you'd like to be part of this, about creating whatever it is we're going to create here, get in touch with us. Let's build something. Let's build something amazing to glorify God. And we can do it together. We can just show people we can help to sort of, I don't know, help to reflect his light, you know? We could do it together. And that would really be my dream, you know, because that's what the barn has been. You know, there is a testimony in every board of this building, and I don't intend it to be any different over there. And boy, we need to be inspired right now. I do. And maybe you do too. I don't know. But know that we love you. Know that we are always here for you as well. If you need prayer, get in touch with us. We love to pray for people. Anything else, my darling?
No, I think you've covered it well. Yeah.
If you have an extra moment, pray that my migraines go away, because the one that I'm sort of feeling right at this very moment is
Yeah.
could use a little easing. God bless you all of you. If you would like to, I won't say the spiel, but if you'd like to support this and support what we're doing, you know, if you'd like to make a monetary gift, you can do that by going to www.chriswilson.us, and there's a donate button right there. All right, God bless you. We'll see you next time. Good night.